Hello and welcome to the Motilal Oswal studio. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now with me Shriyanti Singh, and over the next 1 hour me and Snehisha will get all of your stock related queries answered from both a technical as well as a fundamental perspective. But well, first things first, let's take a very quick look at the markets then. And when you take a look at the Nifty holding on quite well at this point, when you take a look at the list of gainers on a sectoral basis, you have metals topping that list, followed by realty and auto also following suit along with infra. That's also eking out gains to the tune of about 1% at this point. On the flip side, you have sectors like FMCG, media and PSU Bank holding on to a tinge of red at this point. It's largely the mid caps that are outperforming the benchmarks. Small cap largely mirroring the kind of move that we saw coming in for the Nifty. But well, that's the picture that we're seeing emerge as far as the markets then are concerned. But with that, let's also kickstart taking all of your stock related queries. Before we do that, let's try and get the number where you can write to us on the screen. Now do remember to mention the buy price for the stocks that you're already invested in, and for the ones that you hope to be invested in, do remember to mention the time horizon that you then have in mind. And on the show today, we have Kunal Bothra joining us. Kunal, the first query that we in fact have is coming in on a banking counter. Krishna is writing to us from Chennai. Wants to know about Utkarsh, Small Finance Bank, 600 shares. Buy price is 58 rupees. What do you make of this one then?
So, good morning first of all. My sense is that Utkarsh Financial Bank is going through a series of a negative trend. But then somehow at current levels of 30 or thereabouts for the stock, it comes back into a zone of deep oversold on the long-term chart. So since you bought at higher levels, my suggestion would be to try and maybe look to average out.
Well, absolutely, Kunal. That's about Utkarsh Small Finance Bank, and in fact, it's been quite the interesting chart coming in as far as Utkarsh Small Finance Bank is concerned. Because when I'm looking at the 3-month chart, I'm looking at a 22% decline thereabout on a 3-month basis, and even for 6 months, it's 34% in terms of the kind of decline. So, with that in mind, against that particular backdrop, what do you think about this counter?
Yeah, it looks attractive. In fact, the stock had fallen very sharply from 60-65 levels to a drop of 50% and more over the last many quarters. But I think now at current levels of 30 thereabouts, it looks like the stock has entered into a deep oversold territory on the long-term charts. So since you've purchased at higher levels, my suggestion would be to try and look to average out just closer to that 30-32 levels.
Okay, so that's the stock query coming in on Utkarsh Small Finance Bank. Kunal, hi. Also give us a sense of what you are making on Glaxo Pharma. This is a query we had yesterday, but we weren't able to address it entirely. What's your outlook on this one?
I think it's a very interesting chart because after yesterday's very strong volume action move for Glaxo, the stock moving up, I think, by a margin of 10% plus approximately. I think today's move of a mild correction of 2.5% should be taken as a buying opportunity because such kind of strong volume thrust which happens into stock prices, they result into change of course or change of trend for stocks, and we've seen this multiple times. Glaxo was also one of the stocks which had done exceptionally well in 2024 in the second half, where the stock moved from I think 1500 levels to almost 3000 plus mark. So which means now at current levels of 2000 thereabout, this could be a very interesting buy from a longer term basis.
Alright, that's the take coming in as far as GSK Pharma then is concerned. Kunal, I'll come to you with the next one, which is about CESC, and Satyavini in fact is writing to us from Hyderabad about this counter, and he's purchased 800 shares. Buy price is 192 rupees. What do you make of this one then?
Again, a stock which I think has been beaten down over the last few months. I remember I think tracking the stock when it was 2 digits around the 88 or 90 odd zone, and I think from there the stock had moved towards even 200 plus mark. Now I think in this leg of correction, what we've seen is a very feeble kind of a bounce for CESC, which means that the entire pain may not be out into the stock, and that's where I would probably believe that the short-term concerns could remain for the stock. So I would believe that if you've bought at higher levels, I would not suggest an average out at current levels, but wait out for a point when the stock confirms a break above its long-term average. That could be just about closer to 160 mark. Only about those points is where I would suggest to average out.
Okay, that's the outlook coming in on CESC. Kunal, next query is coming in on the stock Coal India. Now, this is a dividend-specific query, largely fundamental, but if you could also give us a chart check on what Coal India looks like. This is coming in from our viewer Vijay. He's asking what this stock looks like, what is the outlook going ahead, and is there any better stock from this sector that you would recommend, if not Coal India? Because Coal India last 6 months seems to have seen some pressure, roughly 25-28% cut coming in. Last 1 year also, it's been under some pressure. So what's the outlook going ahead on the charts now?
Yeah, good news, good prices, they don't come together, Sneh. So I think in that aspect, this correction should be taken with both hands for traders who have a longer term time frame. Look at this way, from 2020 lows, Coal India was a stock which was just about 110 odd rupees. The stock moved to 500 plus in the next subsequent 4 years into a classical trending manner, and then from those 500 levels it's come back to 350 thereabouts, so which means a 30% correction for the stock. And remember, Coal India is a formidable large cap name. It's traditionally considered to be a very low beta stock, and when low beta stocks give you corrections of 30%, 40%, that generally becomes a very good opportunity for long term investors who earlier missed out into the stock price in the previous leg. I would believe that at 350, 380 levels, this could be a good buy, but especially only for traders who have a longer term time frame.
Alright, and that's a take coming in as far as Coal India is concerned. But the next one, Kunal, that I have is coming in from Dr. Zenat Kausar, writing to us from Ranchi. Wants to know about Triveni Turbine for the medium term. What do you think about this one then?
It's a very high beta stock. I've been tracking this, of late, especially at a point when the stock was at 800 plus levels. I think in the fag end of 2024. Now it's come back into a corrective mode very sharply. The only concern is the high beta nature of the stock price, which is why it's very difficult to try and anticipate where the supports could lie for the stock. For example, the recent support for the stock was around the 625 mark. The stock has broken below those levels by a margin of another 10% from those key support points. So I would believe that potentially if you're looking to average out or buy again for Triveni Turbine, then I think 625 plus levels, and if the stock sustains about those levels for at least 1 to 2 weeks consecutively, only then I would suggest a buy.
Okay, that's the take on Triveni Turbine. On that note, Kunal, stay on with us. We'll slip into a very short break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Viewers, keep writing our queries to us, and we'll be addressing them just after this short break. Hi there, welcome back to Buy Now, Sell Now. Let's keep it going with all the viewer queries today. And Kunal, coming back to you, now this query is coming exclusively for you is what our viewer has specified. And this is our viewer Gajanan writing to us. Planning to sell Infosys, his buy price was 1500 and instead he wants to buy OFSS or Tata Communications. Do you think this is a trade worth doing? He wants to get out of Infosys, enter OFSS or either Tata Communications. Which one would you pick? And the second question is, if you have to invest in the electrical goods space, something like a polycap perhaps he's asking, or anything in the home segment space, what would your pick be over there?
It's a tough one. So from the first part which you mentioned, exiting Infosys and shifting to either OFSS or Tata Communication, I believe that both the charts are a bit more moderate as such, because Tata Com is something which has been extremely volatile. The stock has been all over the place over the last few years, and I think even at current levels it doesn't look like that the stock is going to restart a very strong swift uptrend pretty quickly. It may take some bit of more time. Infosys or other OFSS on the other hand, that stock is looking a bit more somber in terms of the charts. It's come back below the 200 moving average, which means restarting the trend for the stock could take some bit of more time. You need to see at least a 10% recovery first for the stock to try and come back and indicate that a major breakout has happened for the stock. So I would probably suggest that both of those stocks are a bit more moderate in terms of charts. If I can suggest maybe another one from the IT allied spaces, then I would look at FSL. That's a chart which is looking very attractive. First Source. That's a stock which I think is trading at 340, 350 levels. Excellent chart on the longer term basis, and I believe that there could be a substantial upside over the next 2 to 3 years for the stock if you're a long term investor. From the second part of your query, yes, Polycap could be a very good bet. The stock in the last 5-6 years has gone through a zone of 3 or 4 times where the stock has corrected more than 20%, and apparently all of those times have come out to be a great opportunity for traders who have a long term time frame. I believe such could be a similar opportunity for Polycab and for investors who are buying the stock at current levels also.
Alright, then that's a take coming in on a host of those stocks. Kunal, I'll come right back to you because Mithilesh Kumar is also writing to us about Hindustan Construction Company, 7,000 shares. Buy price was 44 rupees. What do you think about this one from a long-term perspective?
Yeah, long-term wise, it is very attractive. The stock has confirmed, a very strong multi-month, multi-quarter uptrend. But it's just that the last 3-6 months for the stock has been a lot more torrid in terms of news flow, because the stock had gone through a lot of news flows, and that kept the stock into a lot more volatile zone. I remember I think the stock touching levels of 54, 55 plus kind of a mark in mid part of 2024, and from there the stock has slipped back to 30 levels. So it's a very good stock, has a lot of potential, but it's just that the news flow keeps the stock a lot more volatile. If in case the news flow starts to abate or starts to improve for the stock, I would believe that a retest to the levels of 60 plus could be in the offing for HCC. So it's a stock which you can continue to hold on, but the only caveat is that the stock is extremely volatile in nature.
Well, Snehi, Kunal also interestingly also mentioned that good price and good news doesn't come together. So I think that's important to also take a note of.
Absolutely. Interesting point over there. Let's keep it going with the viewer queries. And the next one is coming in from our viewer Jitendra Narang from Mumbai. Kunal is asking about your outlook on L&T, holds 100 shares at an average price of 3,400 rupees per share. What should he do? What's the outlook going ahead? Slight bit of a loss is what he must be facing because 3,400 is his buy price. The stock is currently at 3,352. So what's the outlook? Should he continue to hold, hoping for some sort of a recovery, or just book the loss and exit the stock?
See, it depends on what your time frame is. For example, what I see on the charts on the weekly basis is for the first time, I think the last 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, since 2022, the stock has shown signs of a bearish crossover on the MACD on the weekly time frame. That indicates that the stock could be in for some bit of more correction, which could take the stock to maybe a 5% to 10% further correction in the subsequent next 3-4 weeks or over the next 2 to 3 months at least. So it depends on your time frame. If you're looking at this as a very short term play, there could be some bit of more pain left into stock like L&T. But then longer term wise, L&T has managed to withstand different kind of market trends, whether it was a major uptrend for the indices from 2020 lows, or whether it was a corrective phases in 2008, 2015, 2020, etc. So a stock which has been very sturdy on the long term basis, and a stock which has done exceptionally well on the longer term basis. So I think if that's the time frame you're looking out for, then you can continue to hold on. So the only case in point is what your time frame is. If you're looking at this as a very short term play and you are a bit fidgety with the the stock going a bit lower from current levels, then you might exit and then look to buy back on the lower time frames for L&T.
Alright, the next one that we have, Kunal, is actually coming in on BHEL, because we do have an investor who's a senior citizen writing to us from Tamil Nadu asking us about BHEL, 700 shares. Buy price was about 234 rupees. What do you make of this one? Because currently they're sitting at a loss when it comes to this counter.
See, I'm very bullish on the stock on the long term basis. So I think at current levels of 200, I would believe that this could be a very good buy. Again, a high volatile, high beta stock. But I think the major part of the pain seems to be out for BHEL. It's corrected from 340 levels, 330 levels, they're about to sub 200, and that's a very sharp correction for a stock like BHEL. I think for a long term play, this could be a very good buy and a very good price for BHEL.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on BHEL, and a couple of these stocks have been in focus recently ever since we've seen announcements coming in the budget also. So fundamentally also these stocks have been in focus for quite some time now. But Kunal, let's keep it going with the viewer queries coming in, and the next one is coming in from our viewer Satya, who's writing to us asking about two stocks, asking if SBI, now that it's come below 740, should he switch from Chambal Fertilizers to SBI, or are the charts looking good for both, and should he have holdings in both?
No, I think you should not switch from Chambal to SBI. Yes, of course, SBI is one of the formidable strong names, but the charts of Chambal Fertilizers is also looking extremely attractive. And after I think almost 12 months of consolidation, the stock is heading towards a potential very big breakout. If that happens for Chambal Fertilizers, it could be a game changer for the stock in the near to medium term basis, and you might potentially see a 20 to 30% upside also in a span of the next 6 to 12 months. So it's poised very well. There is a lot of expectation in terms of the potential breakout. If that happens, I think you could probably miss out if you switch from Chambal Fertilizers to SBI.
Alright, then that's a take coming in as far as SBI and Chambal Fertilizers are concerned. Kunal, I don't know about you, but I think I find that dichotomy very interesting. The two stocks that he's picked in terms of the pecking order, SBI and Chambal Fertilizers, quite different from each other in terms of playing out those opportunities. But the next one that we actually have is coming in on MRF. Radhakrishna is writing to us from Bengaluru about MRF, and currently sitting at losses when it comes to this particular counter. What do you make of this one? Asking if they can hold on for a little bit or book losses at this point.
It depends on what your cost price was. Yes, the stock is looking weak on the charts. It's struggled, to hold even above the long-term averages. I think the first time the stock had broken below the longer-term averages was in October 2024, when the stock had broken below the 1,30,000, 34,000 kind of levels, and from there the stock has dragged another 20%, falling down to almost 1,10,000, 15,000, 14,000 levels where it's trading right now. So I believe that the drag may continue for MRF for some more time. But I think again depends on your time frame, what your purchase price was. If it is very recent, then I think you can continue to hold on. But if it's from a much higher levels for the stock price, then I believe that you can look to exit.
I just wanted to come in here and also mention the cost price, because 1,18,500 is the kind of cost price that Radhakrishna had when it comes to MRF. At those kind of levels, is it making sense to you?
Yeah, then it makes sense to hold on to the stock, because it looks like from a short-term basis that the stock has bottomed out.
So that's where the whole change happens, and that's why, because it's important for you to always mention your stock price, your buying price to us, because that could also influence the outlook on whether you should continue to hold the stock or make an exit, depending on what kind of a loss you are facing right now, where the stock price is compared to your buying price. But let's move on. Kunal, query coming in from our viewer Ron from Mumbai is asking about the exit price that you are penciling in for the charts for 3 stocks: Bajaj Finance, Bharat Forge and Titan. What's the view here?
So Bajaj Finance, I think you should continue to hold on. My sense is that the stock should be able to surpass levels of even 8,800 to 9,000 mark, assuming that the markets become a lot more stable and we don't see another bout of major FI selling. So I think if that's the case, then from the long perspective, I would suggest 8,800 to 9,000 plus as a potential target range for Bajaj Finance. For Bharat Forge, the stock has been dragging quite a lot. The concern is the bearish crossovers the stock has shown on the daily charts, where the stock had given a bearish crossover 50 DMA crossing below the 200-day moving average. That was the point when the stock was at 1400, and currently the stock is at 1140 mark. I still believe that the pressure may continue for Bharat Forge from a short-term basis. For Titan, on the other hand, I think this could be a big turn of event for the stock. I remember, I think just about a couple of months back, the stock was struggling at 3,000, 3,200 zone, and now it's surpassed levels of 3,400 and crossed about those 200 DMA. My belief is that the stock should come back towards 3,600 to 3,800 levels plus. So I would suggest to hold on to Titan for that kind of a target range.
Alright, then that's a whole recommendation coming in. As far as Titan then is concerned, Kunal, the next one that we have is coming in from R. Ganesh, writing to us from Bengaluru about IndusInd Bank. Now, of course, on a daily basis, when you take a look at the chart, 1% is the kind of uptick that you're seeing on a daily basis on that particular chart. So one of the select few banking names at this point, holding on to a solid tinge of green as far as that stock is concerned. And they're asking for a fresh buy recommendation. Should they hold on to sort of go ahead with that buy, or should they go ahead with a fresh investment when it comes to this counter?
I think you should go ahead with a buy on IndusInd Bank, whether it's a fresh investment or accumulate. I believe so that the stock has bottomed out, and it looks like that the longer term charts are looking extremely attractive for IndusInd Bank. So again, if you're a long term investor, then I believe that the stock seems to have priced in all the negative news flow which is going on for the stock for the last many quarters and many years. And I think at 1,000 levels or thereabout, this could be a very good buy from long term basis.
Looking good on the long term basis on the charts is IndusInd Bank, a very strong conviction buy call coming in from Kunal. But on that note, Kunal, thanks so much for joining us in the studio today. And on that note, viewers, we'll wrap it up on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Keep writing your queries to us today, tomorrow, over the weekend, and we'll be addressing them first thing Monday morning at 11. So stay tuned to ET Now, and we'll see you on Monday when it comes to Buy Now Sell Now. But on that note, you stay tuned to ET Now as well, because the market at noon is up next.